NBA free agency has begun.
Keep your eyes shut!
It's Matty and Patty, coast to coast from the North Coast in Lake Charlevoix, Michigan, on a little vacation. It's Pat McMenamin to San Francisco. It's Matt Youngner. Say hello, Matty.
Hello, Patty. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Summer. I'm on vacation. It's beautiful out here.
Nice.
Yeah. Welcome to the Cleveland Sports Hour with Matty and Patty. By way of introduction, we are two long-suffering Cleveland sports fans who spend far too much time watching, reading, and thinking about the Cavs, the Browns, and the Tribe. We are unapologetic homers, but we are self-aware homers with brains. So if you'd like the informed, intelligent Cleveland fans' perspective on all things Cavs, Browns, and Indians, you've come to the right place. Now, Matty, we opened with a clip from Raiders of the Lost Ark there. That's the climactic scene where the Nazis open the Ark of the Covenant and the power of God blasts them all with lightning bolts, melts their faces, and explodes their brains. Indiana Jones and Marion are spared by virtue of keeping their eyes shut. It strikes me as an apt, if overwrought, metaphor for this summer's NBA free agency. If I had only listened to Indy and just shut my eyes to Twitter, I could have opened them days later and just learned what happened. Learned, where these different free agents went. Learned that Kevin Love, of course, re-signed with the Cavs. And that Iman Shumpert signed for a reasonable deal in 4 years, $40 million. And, of course, the Tristan Thompson's close to a big contract, but he's coming back. These are all things I knew were probably going to happen, but instead I had to open my eyes to it and go along for the insane, crazy-ass ride. If I closed my eyes, I wouldn't have had to witness the Lakers' face melting in real time, or the Kings.
Yeah, that was fun.
Or the Kings' heads exploding. I would have been much more productive and socially engaged with my family on vacation. Matty, can you explain what the hell just happened? Just quickly.
I'm still not sure.
I'm still making sense of it. It's still going. It's still happening.
Yeah, still going. A lot of moves still to be made. I guess all the big pieces are sort of off the board at this point, but it's weird. I don't quite know what to think right now.
Yeah, no.
New world.
It's a little crazy. Now, Matty, there's a lot to get to in this hour, but before we get into it, let's give everyone a quick rundown of what we're going to get into in this next hour. We're going to start with the Cavs offseason review. We'll look at the free agency moves, what we did in the draft, and what we can expect next to happen. Then we're going to move on to the general NBA free agency from a Cavs fan's perspective. We'll talk about the Lakers, the Kings, and the Knicks and other teams, some of our favorite moments, scariest moves, plus our early rankings and playoff predictions for the East and the West. And because this is the Cleveland Sports Hour, not the Cavs podcast, we will also touch on the Browns and Tribe, namely answering the questions, is it time to start paying attention to the Browns? No. Spoiler alert. Is it time to stop paying attention to the Tribe? No. At least not yet. It's not looking good right now in the Tribe game. So, Matty, let's start off with the Cavs offseason. Let's start off with the latest news that we're dealing with, and then we'll work our way back to the beginning of the offseason. David West continues to be the big NBA free agency rumor for the Cavs right now. The idea that we're actually pursuing him for the veterans minimum. Matty, this to me encapsulates the offseason that makes no sense at all.
Yeah. He turned down $12 million from Indiana this year to come back and take the veterans minimum with us or San Antonio or Golden State, I guess, is in that too. Super weird.
So crazy.
I know he's made a lot of money, but $12 million, man, come on.
I mean, he's turning down $11 million, right? Because the minimum is like 1.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
The fuck? What is going on?
I thought it was a little weird that he opted out when he did. I guess he must be super frustrated with what's happened in Indiana, but still, I don't know. He's old. He was in LeBron's draft class, but he's obviously. I think he went all 4 years at Xavier.
He turns 36 next season, which is crazy. But he's like 5 years older than LeBron.
So a 3-year deal doesn't make any sense for him. But
no. But this is
but still,
But this to me is emblematic of what's been happening in free agency. Up is down, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria, free agents signing with small market teams over big cities. We'll talk about this later, but Monroe and Milwaukee, the Lakers were just clowns. The Knicks have been shopping the discount aisle. The Spurs are big players. The Spurs are big players in free agency. Players are turning down more money for extra years, and turning down extra years for the right fit, like left and right. It's crazy. I mean,
and on top of that, the ballooning of the salary cap next year and the year after has thrown my perception of value way out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
So the analogy I use is that it's like participating in a new fantasy league with people you don't know for the first time in the draft. And you just have no idea how they value stuff. So it's like all of a sudden a wide receiver is going for $60 or something. You're like, what the heck? What? That's not how
crazy.
I value
That's way too high. That's way too high. And then, of course, like the next three on your board go for slightly more. And you're like, oh, shit, do I have to spend 10 times more than that just to be able to get a decent receiver? It's ridiculous. It's so weird.
Yeah. And on top of that, there's also this change in the league of what people value, and big men being less valuable maybe, and 3-and-D guys being super valuable, so that Amari Carroll's getting 4 years and $60 million from the Raptors, and people roundly where I've read feel like it's a pretty good deal. I mean, I don't know what to believe anymore, Pat.
What I've been seeing is that you have to discount any contract you see this year by 33%, right? Or 30%, something like that, which is how much the cap is expected to go up by percentage-wise, right? Or at least over the course of the next 2 years.
Right.
So, a $10 million year, like Shumpert's, we'll talk about $10 million years, $10 million a year for 4 years is really $7 million a year for 4 years, which sounds great. That's a great, get for him.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it doesn't feel right. It still feels wrong.
No, I haven't adjusted to it yet. I don't know how to evaluate things just hearing them like I felt like I could in years previous. You gave me a year range and a dollar amount, and I could feel confident to say good deal, bad deal. I don't have that confidence right now. I have to do a lot more thinking.
And I'm getting worried about how much Mozgov's going to cost us next year. I mean, I'm thinking it starts at 15. That's going to be nuts. Even if we have the cap, or how I don't know how we manage the cap with that. But all right, well, let's go back to the beginning of free agency, Matty. Let's talk a little bit about for me, first of all, Cavs Twitter has been crazy for the whole free agency period. It was last year too, and I love that Cavs Twitter opened free agency with a notice to everyone that we are everywhere.
Yeah, shot across the bow.
We are everywhere. We track airplanes. Cupcake stores have NBA sources and break news. We sit poolside in LA while you try to have your casual meeting in plain sight. It started with this bomb from actually I don't think he's a Cleveland guy, Jensen Clan 88. I think he's like what, GQ or something like that. He's some kind of main magazine reporter.
Yeah, I'm not sure honestly.
Oh, hold on. So this will happen a lot in this podcast since I'm on vacation and my son is running around. He's telling me he has chocolate. It's breaking news. My son has chocolate. Arthur, awesome. High five. You got chocolate. Good job. I'm doing a podcast, sweetie. Yeah. My cousin, my nieces and nephews and son Arthur, ladies and gentlemen. But right, so it starts off with Jensen Clan 88 saying, "Listen, I'm no Woj, but pretty sure I just stumbled on a LeBron Kevin Love meeting, with what is unmistakably LeBron sitting, looking very surly on a deck chair, and Kevin Love carrying a chair over to join LeBron in LA because of course they hate each other, right? So they would never be spending time together in LA unless it was an important meeting."
By the way, Pat, I think Woj, not Woj, there for Wojnarowski.
Oh, is it Woj? Why go? Isn't it? Don't I say Woj bomb? I always see people like doing WAAJ when they're being like, I don't know, when they're celebrating a Woj bomb or Woj bomb.
I'm just guessing if it's my thoughts on how to pronounce something versus your thoughts on how to pronounce something. I think my thoughts are probably
right. Perhaps you're right, but this could also be the difference between whether it's GIF or GIF. I can never decide. It's GIF, right?
Possibly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Possibly.
So at the same time, this is Twitter, which I'm slightly more well versed in than you are. So
that's
in Twitter
that's true.
Twitter speak, Woj might be a more acceptable condensing of his name or nickname. Anyway, we see that post, right, Matty? And we're feeling good about Love. I mean, I'm hoping.
Feeling great.
I'm hoping for a 2 to 3 year deal. I'm content with a 1 year deal. You know, I get it. I would not be thrilled about that, but I would get it. Holding a candle for a full 5 year max, but I don't have any concerns at all that he's not going to re-sign with the Cavs. Then, Chris Broussard tweets this. Sources. Lakers have spoken with reps for Kevin Love, and a meeting this week is planned. Well, shit.
Heart sinks.
Yes. Speaking of which, Broussard has a reputation and a history of this, of bad tweets. It's gotten to the point where now
his sources are terrible.
They're terrible. I mean, he's got to fire those sources. I mean, they have not been treating him well. What he normally says is, or the meme that pops up is Chris Broussard's face on a tweet saying, "Multiple sources report that I'm having barbecue tonight." But I mean, I like Broussard as a Cleveland guy. It's just, yeesh, he is wrong a lot, like more so than Windy is wrong, and he's also a little bit of a homophobe. So that's not so cool.
Is he?
Yeah, no. When that, I'm trying to remember what the event was that brought it up, but I think it was the first gay player in the NFL or some kind of announcement. No, I think it may have been the gay basketball player. What's his name again? He's retired now.
John Amici?
Collins, isn't it Jason Collins?
That guy, Jason Collins. Yeah.
Jason Collins. We announced.
He played.
Yeah, no. But, that's right. He came back. He was out of the NBA for a year when he made the announcement. So he came back and played. That's right. I forgot about that. Anyway, Broussard came out and said, like, because it's his religious convictions, and said he wasn't cool with it, and it was, I was like, you didn't have to say anything.
That's right.
I was like, just don't say
He's
it.
Super Christian.
Yeah, just don't. I wouldn't do that. Just know your audience. Anyway, meanwhile, the Spurs got a crazy discount to start the day on Danny Green. They trade Splitter, and they seem destined to sign LaMarcus Aldridge. Of course, they ended up signing him. The Heat signed Dragic for less than the max. Even the Bulls got a discount on the Patrick Bateman of the NBA, Mike Dunleavy. Matty, this is a very unhappy Patty. But then
things are looking bad.
Then Love scoops everyone. That was the coolest thing, that nobody got to this. Love scooped everyone and tweeted a link to his own article on his day job as the senior editor at the Players Tribune.
What the hell is the Players Tribune, Pat?
I think it's a Derek Jeter publication, or Derek Jeter wank spot, where you can just, if you're rich and you're a player, a millionaire sports athlete, and you want to tell the world something, you can just go there and do it. I think that's
really?
I think that's all the qualifications you need. Yeah. Have
who owns it?
I don't know. I mean, Derek Jeter runs it. He founded it, but I forget who the backers are.
How come I've never heard of it before?
I don't know. You haven't been paying attention. Love's first post there was shortly after the trade, where he, sort of explained what he was going through during this time when he couldn't talk because the trade was about to happen between the Timberwolves and the Cavs. How he feels for Andrew Wiggins and what he had to go through, the bonding trip they had to Brazil, the Cavs. Yeah, it was all there.
How often do you go to the Players Tribune?
Only when there's a post written by senior editor Kevin Love.
Oh, okay. So only when you see it on Twitter or someplace else do you go.
Exactly. Okay. You got chips, Arthur. Matt, breaking news. Arthur got Cool Ranch Doritos. Cool Ranch Doritos for Arthur.
Oh, that's chips. Good.
They tell me they're not chips, but they're in a bag that's marked Cool Ranch Doritos. So
he doesn't know.
He needs to check his sources on that. So let's just quickly read it because it's a very short post, and I want to quickly analyze it. It's titled "Unfinished Business." He writes, well, we'll pause for the sirens here. Is there a manhunt in your neighborhood? Manhunt in your neighborhood, Matty?
No, I think that's a fire.
It's titled "Unfinished Business." I'm going back to Cleveland. After Game 1 of the NBA Finals, that's when it really struck me. Sitting on the sidelines, I never wanted to play in a game more than that one. I had dreamed of playing in the NBA Finals, and I just wanted to help my guys win. I couldn't have been prouder of them as they poured their blood, sweat, and tears onto the court. I think he may have been listening to the Matty and Patty podcast and been inspired to quote Churchill there.
I think that's right.
All he was missing was toil. You missed toil. That's usually the one everyone misses.
Everybody leaves that out.
Exactly. It's the best one. It's the best part of that four-part quote. Anyway, of course I heard the free agency rumors, but at the end of the day, and after meeting with my teammates, it turns out pools are great meeting places. And with front office, nice. A little sass. Love it. With the front office, it was clear that Cleveland was the place for me. We're all on the same page, and we're all in. I'm glad that he's on corporate message there. We have unfinished business now, and now it's time to get back to work. So, quick analysis. On the plus side, he clearly wrote it himself. No as told to stuff like LeBron did.
You think those are his words?
Yeah, I think so. It wasn't particularly amazingly written. It's not bad. It's not poorly written by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not like Lee Jenkins, really well written. Like Lee Jenkins was a professional writer. That was a good piece that he did for LeBron, as told to Lee Jenkins. But this was just kind of straightforward, and it was, downtime was super short, but it was funny. He had some funny stuff in there. I mean, I kind of wish
a couple good lines.
Couple good lines. I kind of wish he just repasted LeBron's letter as his own. I saw that posted somewhere. That was pretty good. That would have been great. I've now realized what I mean to Northeast Ohio. It would have been great. But I'm going to go ahead and say, so there's one big prediction I think you can see in this piece, but also some of the Twitter responses he's been sending out since then, because I've been following him on Twitter. I have a little prediction for you, Matty. I think Kevin Love is about to become a favorite Cav for a lot of people.
Ooh, you think so?
Big time. I mean, obviously, a lot of the ladies like him. My wife, first and foremost. Who's that? First thing she said when she saw him.
What'd you tell her?
I said, hands off. No,
I think what I told my wife is you're way too old for her. I got bad news for you. Fucking 25 years old.
Oh my god.
That went over well.
That's great. Yeah. That's pretty good. I'll use that next time. But yeah, I mean, funny thing, we didn't get to see this past year because, and the year before that, because he's been dealing with trade rumors and questions about his future and his loyalty to the team, and does he really want it? Does he want to chase money? Is he a stat stuff? He's like stat hound, empty rebound stats, empty meaningless stats. All those questions have been surrounding for the past 2 or 3 years. And he's actually been a really funny, smart, and super open, engaging guy with the press in his first 4 years in Minnesota, apparently, by all accounts. It was only when he didn't get the full max extension sheet and grew unhappy that all of a sudden his honesty got turned against him and he started getting in trouble for everything. I mean, for God's sakes,
yeah.
He picked his UCLA teammate for MVP, and people are like, oh, he doesn't like LeBron. I mean, anything he says, any openness he has, gets twisted and stuff like that. So he's been quiet. He just shut up. He just stopped talking. So I think we're, we
this is going to unleash him a little bit.
Yeah, and now he doesn't have to worry about any of that anymore. Oh, except that he always had to deal with that. Not 24 hours after he announced he's re-signing with the Cavs, a, quote, report surfaced that rival GMs expect him to be on the trading block within 1 to 1.5 years.
I'm sick of that.
Not even 24 hours, and already the NESN, New England Sports Network, had a story that's the third result. If you Google Kevin Love's name, at least what I did yesterday, NESN's story about this was the third thing that comes up. One thing I would just like to say, by the way, Matty, I posted Waj, as I like to call him, not Woj. Posted this tonight.
That sounds like a porn star when you call him that.
Well, maybe it's a mark of respect for me that if I pronounce your name wrong and stick to it, you join the pantheon of names that I mispronounce. Anyhow, he tweeted this the night before free agency opened. Quote: "The Boston Celtics are still awaiting word on whether they'll get a meeting with Cleveland free agent Kevin Love." Hey, Matty, breaking news: they're still waiting. Still waiting for that meeting. Oh, well, one side note, I saw this.
That was a lot of fun.
That was so much fun. And the best part was the lead up to it. This is where I was not worried at all. Waj also tweeted out sources. If Kevin Love goes forward with visits in July, expect Boston to sell him on pursuing a group of Love, Robin Lopez, and Paul Pierce.
Yeah. I love that one. That is laughable.
This is Waj. He's not blowing smoke up anyone's asses. He's proven himself time and time again. This means someone in Boston seriously thought this was a pitch. Oh my God, they're joining the ranks of the Lakers and the Knicks. This makes me so happy.
Bad.
The last thing I'll say about this is that it's clearly very good for the cap because this deal, which is 5 years, $110 million, will be effectively less than the max starting next year, right?
Yep, almost immediately. It's a value. You know, it's a player option for the 5th year, right?
Mm-hmm. So it's definitely 4 years that we get. We get 4 years for sure, and then we'll see about the 5th year, which is fine. It means we have the core, LeBron, TT, hopefully, he's working towards it, but LeBron, TT, Kyrie, and Love, next 4 years. We got them. That's amazing. And Shumpert, too. Shumpert next 4 years, too. And the last thing I'll say, I think is interesting to me, is that it's interesting that security against injury, getting security against future injury, but more importantly, all the BS he had to deal with, putting that aside, was worth more than the extra 20 to 30 million he could have earned by waiting an extra year. Like, I think he did this mostly because he wanted to be able to start talking again, because you can see how quickly he started talking on Twitter. Yeah, it's really refreshing.
It's a good observation by you. Yeah, because he really did have that kind of person. For God's sake, he's Wes or whatever his name is in the Uncle Drew videos.
Yeah, that's right, Wes. Exactly.
He clearly likes to have some fun, and last year didn't feel like fun to him.
Yep.
But maybe that was more about his overall situation than anything going on with this Cavs team, which honestly seemed like a lot of fun.
I mean, yeah,
for everybody else.
Clearly, Kevin Love wasn't having a good time and didn't have any friends on the team. That's why he gained the nickname with Kyrie Irving, Mike Miller, and James Jones. Right? There's Kyrie is Drew, then there's Killer, then there's Champ, and then there's Menace. That's Kevin Love. He's Menace. So anyway, I'm so happy. I'm happy we're done with that.
It's good. This is a good deal. It's a good contract. It's a good thing. It's great that it happened right away.
Yep.
It's great that all the talking that was going on about where he was going to take meetings, all that nonsense was just proven wrong right away. Yeah. He was good to his word. There was no nonsense. Right at it. I felt great about it. Feel great about it.
Beautiful.
So Patty, can I ask you a crazy hypothetical question?
Oh, yes. Yes, please go right ahead. I'm excited.
So I've been thinking about this. And we'll see how this goes today. Maybe we'll make this a feature.
Okay.
This is sort of inspired by the writings of Chuck Klosterman, who has sometimes these wild hypotheticals, like if you were transported back in time and had the opportunity to inconvenience Hitler in some way, like stealing his wallet, would you be morally compelled to do it?
Right.
So along those sort of lines. So this is a Kevin Love hypothetical.
Okay.
So he has, by all accounts, said that the hatchet is buried between him and Kelly Olynyk, right? Like, he's talked to him, he's forgiven him, it happened, whatever. It's all good. It's all water under the bridge. But we also know from that letter that he wrote that missing that finals was a big deal to him, right? Like, he felt not good that he couldn't be out there for it. And Olynyk is 100% the person that took that away from him.
Yep. So
if the first time the Celtics and Cavs played this season, at some point in the game, Olynyk and Love got matched up, and Love did exactly what Olynyk did to him and grabbed his arm and physically yanked it out of the socket and dislocated his shoulder. And afterwards was just like, just acted like a total badass about it, like he was just Liam Neeson taking out his daughter's kidnappers. I feel just really good about it, and like, this is awesome. Kevin Love's so serious about taking care of business this year. Or would you be like, oh my God, something's terribly wrong with Kevin Love and this can't continue?
I would have Kevin Love's back 100%.
You would feel great about it, right?
I would feel so awesome. I would be so excited if Kevin Love did that. I mean, morally,
whatever he got, 5 to 10 game suspension.
Worth it.
Right?
Absolutely. I would be like, oh man, Kevin Love has a killer instinct. Like, literally.
Right?
Literally. He and I believe that Kelly Olynyk didn't try to separate his shoulder, but I don't care. And I would feel like they were still even though Kevin Love fully intended to pull his arm out of his socket. It would have been great.
That's the same thought that I had. I was like, I would love it if this happened.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board.
We had a huge badass streak this year, and we're like, we're not messing around. We're settling all our old debts.
Yes, we're settling scores.
This is it.
This is unfinished business. I told you it was about unfinished business, son. Still not done. One revenge down. More to go.
That is,
or it's been so great if he pulled his arm out of his socket and then stared over him and said, "Apology accepted."
Yeah. Had like a Schwarzenegger line for him on the way. I mean, it would.
Oh, that'd be so great. I mean, and then I pause.
I would love it.
Then I pause and go, "Ooh, damn, Kevin Love is a mean son of a bitch. And I'd say,
right?
Exactly. And I'd say, oh, goddamn, I'm glad he's my mean son of a bitch.
Like, I think it would be worth all the outrage.
Oh, yeah.
From
100%.
The outrage machine that would be going. I'd just love it. I'd love every minute of it. I'd love while he was suspended.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be great.
I have to agree. You and I share the same moral ambiguity when it comes to this question. I don't want to say moral failure. I think that's sounding a
no. That's wrong. That's not appreciating the nuance under which we're operating.
All right, mate. Let's move on to the next big free agent target for the Cavs. Obviously, everyone we're leaving LeBron aside. LeBron's going to sign when it's all over, and let's not bother talking about it. Let's not waste time with that. Matty, what did you have to say?
TT.
Yes, let's go on the TT.
So, on July 1, we thought it was done. Like, we were counting that as one of the done deals. The three pieces of business that were taken care of that day were Iman, Love, and TT. Mm-hmm. And everybody, in fact, I think like Chris Sheridan scrubbed TT off his top available free agents list. He was gone everywhere. Everybody assumed it was done. But here we sit on July 5th, Pat, and
still no deal.
Still not going. So what do you think the holdup is here?
The first story I saw was the Draymond Green actually was the holdup.
That mother effer?
Yeah, that son of a bitch. So apparently when talks broke down between Draymond Green and the Warriors, and he was going to go meet with other teams, the holdup was he was using Tristan Thompson's salary cap number as the barometer, saying I need to get more than Tristan Thompson's getting. And so they came back to fine 5 years, 85, or I guess it's 82 now is what he's getting, 5 years and 82.
I think that's right.
I've seen both numbers. And so then he got that.
I mean, that's the other outrageous thing about free agency is none of this can actually happen until the 9th.
No,
so this is
it's all verbal deals.
It's so weird. Yeah. Total speculation.
And there's absolutely no precedent of a verbal deal, a verbal agreement going awry. Carlos Boozer.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck him. Can we just take up a moment to say what a dirtbag that guy is? All right.
Sure.
Let's move on. Thank you. I just wanted to say that. I feel like it just needs to happen. But
all right. So the idea was that Green held out and wanted a little more than TT because he feels he's better than him. Right. And then now TT is doing the same thing right back.
Maybe. That's what I'm thinking. David Zavaka, Fear the Sword, has a great piece up today. You should go look it up. Basically just summarizing what he thinks, where he thinks it's all at. Hold on one second. Breaking news. My son has wandered over to a neighbor's porch. And I have to go tell him to come back. Arthur, hi, buddy. Come back. That's not your house. This is going to be fun, Matt. So
Arthur's really making himself felt on today's podcast.
He's kind of upset that I did this and never really included him. I always did during his nap time or after he went to bed. So this is his first chance to shine. He's pretty excited about this. And I got to say, he's making the most of it.
Oh, yeah. He's the second human to be heard on the podcast. That's pretty good.
That's true. Second guest after Ned Sackman Esquire. So anyway, basically what David Zavak's been saying, and Jeff Rosen, waiting for next year, has been pointing out. He's sort of my captain. Jacob Rosen. I'm sorry. What did I just say? Jeff? Sorry. Jacob Rosen. I think Jeff Rosen's like an agent or something. I don't know. Anyway, Jacob Rosen is like my cap specialist for all things Cavs. And he's been saying, first of all, nothing else is going to happen. You might as well take Tristan Thompson off your free agent list anyways. He's not signing with anyone else. No one else is really pursuing him because they know the Cavs are going to re-sign him. We can match anything, and we're going to match anything. If somebody offers in the max,
that sounds right to me.
If somebody offers in the max 5 years, we're going to match it, and we should. It's no big deal. I mean, it's not great if we have to match him at the max, but the most another team can offer him is 4 years and $69 million. So already he'd be passing up like $21 million on the table from our current deal. So we already have a lot of leverage in that basic fact. At the same time, we can't replace him, so he has leverage too. And the way David Zavak put it was, if both sides have a lot of leverage, then no one does. He's like, just Cavs are right to wait this out, and just they can. First of all, apparently Rich Paul and Dan Gilbert get along great and have a really close relationship, so that's great. Apparently, Dan Gilbert challenged Rich Paul in the Ice Bucket Challenge last summer when that was going. So They seem to have a tight relationship, I guess. And it's just a matter of like working out whether it's a player option in the 5th year or extra $1-2 million, incentives, bonuses. I don't know. I think this is going to happen, and we don't actually have anything to be worried about.
So when you say not worried, and when do you think we'll know? In the next 2 days?
I think by the time when can we sign? Right, the 8th. The actual signs interest come down 9th. I think it'll come down either the night before or the day of the signings. Like they could reach a verbal agreement now, but it's not really a big deal. The signings can't happen until the 9th anyway, so we might as well use all the time for that. Did you tear that off a live tree, Arthur? Arthur has a whole huge branch here. He's torn. I think you feel it torn off a tree. It's bigger than him. Good job, buddy. That's awesome.
He's a man-child.
He's a man-child and terrifying. This is why I tell you he's terrifying. So let me ask you another question. First of all, Matty, can we briefly just talk about the Cavs have been spending like gangbusters left and right. We're clearly on track for a record-breaking tax bill. Re-signing everyone.
Yeah, we're going to go over the Nets, right? We're going to beat the Nets record, I think.
We're going to beat the Nets record, I think, easily this year. Meanwhile, the Warriors nearly let Draymond Green go and interview other teams by trying to lowball him. And I think you had some good thoughts on this.
Yeah, there was that tweet came out, and it became less dramatic because he signed later in the day. But in the middle of the day that day, it was contract talks had broken off between Draymond Green and the Warriors.
He's going to be.
It wasn't clear exactly what was going to happen. Yeah, and this is on top of the fact that the Warriors owners have been reluctant to go into the luxury tax in general. Juxtapose that to Gilbert, who is spending money like crazy, and this whole idea, the meme of Dan Gilbert is a disastrous owner, and he's one of the worst in the game, just feels more and more ridiculous to me.
Doesn't it?
Every day.
It's ridiculous.
Every day. He will spend he cares, he wants to win, and he will just open his checkbook in a moment's notice. That's all I want in my owner. That's it. Absolutely it. And the whole like the Aaronsons are the best. The Aaronsons wasted years and years of Dwayne Wade's prime.
Yep.
Lowballed Mike Miller, which I think was part of why LeBron ended up leaving there. I think that contributed to that because they wanted to avoid spending money. All these guys are just printing money right now. Gilbert doesn't care at all. I think he's a great owner. Yeah.
Look, I mean, he clearly has a long list of errors. The Comic Sans, the carousel.
Yeah, we talked about that though. I still don't think that's an error.
Yeah, look, I think they were decent moves at the time, and it's easy to look really bad when you don't have a lot of talent. You're rebuilding because your team was blown up because it's built around one guy, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes. The point is, right now, that with the past year, the Cavs have been a great organization. I don't think anyone can actually debate that. They can say, "Oh, it's just because of LeBron." Yeah, okay, yeah, but we got LeBron, and we've been doing almost everything right since then. The only questionable move we've made so far has been what? The Varejao contract?
Yeah, and again, I think that was LeBron influenced, right?
Yeah, probably LeBron influenced. And on top of that,
that's not Gilbert's. I don't know that that's Gilbert's call either. He's saying okay to it.
Exactly. I mean, my point being that he picked Griffin, Griffin, to be the GM, and that was the one bad move they made. The point is, we've been great. Like he's hired the right people. Blatt's been great. Yeah. Lou's been great. I mean, obviously there were some shaky moments there into the season, but I don't think you can say now that those were terrible moves after watching how we play this season. So I agree with you on that. Last thing, Matty, can we just get this out of the way? I've been seeing this out for a while, but $80 million, crazy for Tristan Thompson?
This again, it comes back to what we talked about sort of at the top of this, where I am not quite sure what to think. $18 million a year feels like a lot. Or $16 million? Sorry, it's $16 million a year at 80.
16 to 17. Yeah, that's a lot. It would have been a lot last year, but again, 30% discount, it's like 13 to 14, right? I can't do my math really quickly in the teens. That's tricky.
Yeah, like 12.
Yeah. That to me, I'm like, oh, fantastic, great. We were being excited before with 4 years and 52, right? So yeah, that sounds
right.
awesome.
So if that's the real comp for it, then I guess it's okay. It is insane that we are spending what we're going to spend on LeBron, Love, and Chichi, who are all somewhat power forwards.
Yeah. But it's
And if we add another plus 10 for Andy and whatever, if we get Mozgov back next year, we'll have 5 front court players.
Yeah,
making
but you know
$10+ million a year.
But you know what? It's positionless basketball now. I mean, Tristan's a center, kind of honestly, mostly the way he plays, even though he's not the right height size for it. But against most teams, most matchups, Tristan's fine as a 5. So it's fine to have our have extra power forwards that are stretch power forwards, stretch fours, and you got your small 5s, right? Plus a real 5 in Mozgov, and also Verjao is kind of a real 5. I think it all makes sense to especially given the fact that we lost, 2, of our forwards, and all of a sudden we were super, super, depleted among our forwards. And I also wonder if, we'll talk about this more in a bit. We talked about a little bit with David West, like where does David West fit in this team if David West is joining us? How do you find minutes for these guys? I'm like, I don't know. We have a lot of old guys. Verjao. We'd also have another one in David West. Kevin Love's back has been bulky over the past year, even though he's young. Maybe this gives us the opportunity to be able to do a Spurs thing and just rest one of those guys. Like it forces us to rest one guy every 5 games, right?
Yep. And which we should be doing anyway. We talked about this in the previous podcast with LeBron, and just
rest the hell.
I do not care what our regular season record is.
Exactly. I think we should be playing. I feel like we should play the entire regular season, making sure we bench one of these guys every game. That should be our goal with this roster lineup. So that's why I'm like, I kind of see where David West could fit in if we get him at the veteran minimum. We still have our mid-level exception to sign a free agent, and we still have the Brandon Haywood chip. But before we get to those things, Matt, just quickly thoughts. We talked about a little bit already, but Iman Shumpert, 4 years, $40 million. Again, 30% discount. That's essentially $7 million a year, not $10 million a year. He apparently had bigger offers, but signed one.
Where'd you see that?
I saw it on Twitter, like when after we signed. It may have been from Chris Haynes. I can't remember. I didn't jot it down on my notes, but I did see that he said, I don't think there were offers, but there was talk. Like he was talking with other teams that were amenable to.
I guess I saw that on Twitter. The other teams that were talking to him was
right because he pulled a Damon Green too. He's talks broke off. He's going to meet with other teams. And as soon as he did that, we gave him the higher number, I guess, and he signed with us.
I'm happy at that amount.
Absolutely,
for sure,
it's fantastic. Yeah,
especially because with the guy we saw in the finals was a guy that was getting asked to do too much offensively.
Yes, absolutely.
It was like JR too, right? But on a team where we've got Love and Irving out there, and he can just play balls out defense, hit wide open threes when they come to him, and just be active.
Yep,
love it. You're letting him do what he does best.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and also, Go ahead.
I just like him, and it'll be fun to have him on the team.
And that flat top and that weird new look he has going. Have you seen that? Pictures of him.
What's it?
He took his flat top and braided it into a forward thing. It looks like a dildo off the top of his head. It's crazy.
What?
Look it up. Look up Iman Shumpert hair. It's insane.
I'm gonna go do it right now.
He basically braided all of his stuff up at the top, and it just hangs forward. I mean, you could. I guess generously call it like a cannon or a cudgel. It looks crazy.
Or less generously, a dildo.
Or more honestly, it looks kind of like a dildo. Another funny thing is, did you see the tweet or the Instagram he sent out when he announced his signing? He said,
"Yes, I did.
You don't buy jewelry in this league; you earn it." Which, if I can nerd out on you for a second, is interesting. That's sort of an informal motto of House Greyjoy in Game of Thrones. That's the iron. The iron.
They're paying the iron price.
They pay the
iron price, not the gold price.
Iman Shumpert pays the iron price. I love it. I might have to start.
I'm looking at his hair now, Pat. It's crazy.
I kind of, because of that, because you know who the sigil is, the house sigil for House Greyjoy is. It's the Kraken. And that kind of the way Iman Shumpert steals the ball, the way he has the quick hands just fly out of nowhere and get the ball every time without a foul, strip it away. Is it too much to call him the Kraken? It probably is.
Yeah, let's let that simmer in the back of our minds for.
I'm looking forward to sending that out as a tweet text during a big game next season when he gets a big strip and leads a breakaway. The Kraken. All right, Iman Shumpert's under the fold. We have Tristan, who's going to be signing soon. Love's under the fold. LeBron's going to sign soon. We got Kyrie, all these guys for the next 4 years. What else is out there, Matty? Let's go with the other free agent rumors that are out there. We actually, just before we started the podcast, had breaking news on Rodney Stuckey, who was one target of the Cavs.
That I sort of liked.
Yeah, me too. He doesn't have deep range, but he's a good, solid point guard. He can drive. He can play defense.
He can create for himself, which is nice to have.
Exactly.
Units without LeBron or Kyrie out there.
Absolutely. But he signed for 3 years, $21 million. That's more than I want to pay him.
More than we are capable of paying.
More than we're capable, exactly.
I mean, that went right out.
Precisely. Who else you got your eye on?
So the West stuff is out there. I guess we've talked about that enough, right? It's super weird. I'm not clear 100% how he fits, but if he wants to come here and do that, it'd be great. I'd love to have him in the big man rotation for whatever that would mean.
Yeah, I've been hearing people say
if it's the veterans minimum.
I've been hearing people say that and this is crazy. Cavs Twitter, by the way, for some reason, just doesn't like Varejao. They think Varejao is terrible, that he's not going to be able to – I think because of the Achilles tendon, they think he's not going to come back. And it's true. I read an article recently that, there's not a lot of guys –
That's the hardest one.
Hardest one. Pretty much all sports. But they're having a lot of guys –
Although Wes Matthews just signed his 4-year, however many, $60 million deal with the Mavericks.
Which is the one big That's the one big eyebrow raise on that signing is that he's coming off an Achilles tendon injury, which is a big question mark.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel good about because I forget who it was. I should have written this down. But I think Dominique Wilkins came back and played 3 more All-Star years after returning his Achilles tendon. And he was around Varejao's age. There are precedents for this, and Varejao seems to have made a quick recovery. So I have no reason. It wasn't like he was that quick or fast before. It was an explosive athlete. I think we can still see Varejao doing his tricks around the basket and his annoying style, be able to show and recover on D. I think Varejao's going to be a solid role player. But some people are saying,
and we can really
bench for David West. That's crazy.
We can pick and choose our spots with him too now.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. I would love to get West. I'm actually now. I've talked myself into it. I'm pulling for a David West signing, even though I kind of don't like David West. I kind of hate him.
He's a bit of a dick.
He's really annoying.
So it'll be devastating to you when he signs with San Antonio or Golden State.
It won't be devastating to me. I don't think he's gonna sign with Golden State. I think that's not a chance. I was hearing.
Why not?
I don't know. I felt like all the tweets I've seen is between San Antonio, Cleveland, and there's one new team that's making a play for him.
Golden State is the one I've seen.
It's Washington. No, the Wizards.
The Wizards are in it too. You're right about that.
The Wizards are making a big play for him, and I heard somewhere else that he's basically not really into the way the Golden State wanted to use him. So he ruled them out. He's kind of like what's his name, right? David Lee. So it's kind of smart if you see how they use David Lee. You might not want to play with him either.
I guess that's true.
So that's my only guess as to why he's soured on them. Supposedly, we'll see. If he signs a Golden State, I'll be really upset. San Antonio, I'll be upset too, only because the one thing that San Antonio is trading to get LaMarcus Aldridge, we'll talk about this in a bit. When we talk about the broader free agency, is their depth. They've lost their famous depth, and I don't want them to be able to rebuild it with a quality guy like David West. So anyway, who else are you thinking? Who else are you looking at?
There's not. The Mo Williams name is still floating out there. We talked about that the last time we spoke, and I still think I feel the same way, which is
me too. Meh. I mean, I'll get happy about it if we sign him, just because I do love him as a person, and but as a player, he's on the wrong side. He's trending downward. I'll take him.
Yeah,
but not excited about it.
If that's who we get on a 1-year veterans minimum,
fine.
I guess
yeah.
Okay, but. I haven't really seen any other rumors out there right now. Those are the only guys I've heard mentioned with the Cavs to this point.
And a lot of the free agent, the weird thing is the free agent we sign to the MLE, the mid-level exception, is really dependent on what happens with the Haywood chip. We're definitely going to deal him. It sounds like we have a lot of suitors, a lot of possibilities. I'll go quickly through a couple of the ones I've heard. Patty Mills from the Spurs to help them do whatever their other signings is. Yes, absolutely. Would love to have Patty Mills to have an all-Australian backcourt. That would be amazing.
Yeah, Mills is good too. I like him a lot.
So good. I'd be so happy. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Spurs also know that and love him and are going to do whatever they can to keep him. I don't know how they're going to be able to do it, though. Their cap space is tough. I've heard DeMar DeRozan now that they got Damari Carroll, which is going to be so confusing next year. Two Demars and Demar and Damari.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
DeMario brothers, I guess.
The Mario brothers. Yeah, I like that.
That's what I saw on Twitter. It's pretty good. I have to say it's good. It's not mine.
You're not a fan of his?
No, he's a chucker. He's. I mean, what was the name of Skyler's team? In our friend Skyler's fantasy team after he drafted DeMar DeRozan?
What was his name? I forget.
I was trying to get you to say it, so I have to say it in front of my son. So who's lingering right now? So I'm going to tell. Oh, if I think of it later, I'll tell you later. Oh, here he is. Hi, Arthur. What do you want to say?
Can you?
Yes.
Can I have you do iPad time?
Sure. Go tell mommy that I said yes.
Oh, this will turn out well.
Yeah, I think I may have just crossed the line with parenting, where one parent gets played off the other. Except in this case, I kind of need him to watch the iPad so I can finish the podcast uninterrupted. Anyway, but yeah, no, DeMar DeRozan strikes me as a chucker, right? He's a long two guy. He doesn't hit them particularly well. Gets most of his points off free throws. He's most effective when he's a volume guy. He wouldn't be a volume guy on our team. He's not that good on defense. Basically, Cavs Canada, Justin Rowan is a Fear the Sword writer. He lives in Winnipeg, Canada, and watches Toronto all the time. He's like, absolutely not. That's the guy I do not want on this team. So I'll take his word for it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There was the talk of Markieff Morris and PJ Tucker from the Suns, but that was when they were in the hunt for LaMarcus Aldridge. So that's
it seems like that ship sailed.
Yeah, I'd have been happy with that. Otherwise, there's talk of a three-way trade with the Clippers now. They lost DeAndre Jordan, but who do you want on the Clippers?
No, nobody.
Yeah, nobody really, right?
Literally nobody.
I guess I
think JJ Redick if they were going to give us that, but I don't think
absolutely
they need him.
They wouldn't do that.
But of their poo-poo platter guys, I don't want any of them.
No, I don't want any of that crap.
Not a one. So I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I trust Griffin to be smart about this.
Mm-hmm.
But I have no idea what it's got to be something complicated that he's going to dig up here.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's the only way.
I agree. Pausing for 1 second to talk to my son one more time. Arthur, what's up? What do you need? What's that? What's that?
What are you doing with your progress?
When am I done with my podcast? I think is what he asked. I'll be done in 20 minutes. We're got 20 minutes left. Maybe. More like maybe 15 minutes. All right? Okay. It's gonna get better.
Tell him to count to 1,000.
Yeah. To count to 1,000, Arthur. Count to 1,000.
We'll be done.
Yeah, good. Great. So who else can we get for the Haywood chip? Anyone else that you've heard about?
I don't know. I haven't seen rumors. I think it's going to have to be I think a couple other free agent things are going to have to shake out so teams know which way they're going on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I think it's going to end up being something like a three-way deal that's a little more complicated than I've had the time to work out right now. So I don't have any great ideas there. I'm hopeful, and I agree with you. I think that is the domino that has to fall before we figure the rest of the stuff out.
Yeah.
What about JR and Delhi, Pat?
It's a big question mark. I think we're not going to hear anything about them until we find out what happens with the Haywood chip. I think that would be the domino that decides everything else. Also, we have to wait for Tristan, and the front office is going to focus on that. And I think we're willing to let other guys make offers to Delhi and JR. Although I thought I saw somewhere something crazy like a couple days ago that the Cavs were nearing a deal with Delhi for between $3 and $5 million a year, which is crazy.
That's way too much money.
That's ridiculous, and I haven't heard anything since. So I think that must have been total baloney. And why would we be doing that early in the process? Delhi should be the last free agent we sign.
Yeah.
Of our own guys.
It is interesting that JR has gotten no bites that I've seen.
Yeah, I haven't heard his name at all. So this speaks in our favor. I'd be willing to give him 2 years, $7 million, or 2 years, $8 million. 2 years, fine. Just the next 2 years. I want to leave off that third year when we're gonna really want to get under the tax to avoid the repeater tax.
I agree with you, and I don't think other teams are. Nobody wants to sign him long term, right? Like that's been a problem. He works better on a short contract, and I'd love to have him back.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got to be, like Griffin said this, it's got to be right for us.
It's got to be right for us. Exactly.
They have the discipline to walk away if it makes sense. He will leave a hole on our team, though, for sure.
Big time. No, we really
unless we fill it with something from Haywood, we're going to miss him.
Oh, that's the thing, is that you want the Haywood chip to turn into something to add to our team, to add to our depth. But yeah, it may be the case that we need the Haywood chip to replace JR. And that's the thing, we have to think about it that way. Whoever we get for the Haywood chip has to be a wing, has to be a guy who can guard the guys that JR was guarding, has to be a guy that can score some points to replace the scoring that we lose from JR. We won't be able to replace it completely, but we need a guy that can do something like that. Or at least allow us to sign a free agent that, for the mid-level exception that can come close to doing that. So that's what we have to keep an eye on with that. But I think we're going to see those dominoes fall towards the end of the moratorium on July 9th. My birthday.
Exciting. Should we move on to the draft, Patty?
Yeah, let's run through the draft real quick. Do you want to just give your quick recap on what you feel like happened that night?
Sure. So I think not a surprise at all, right? A little disappointing maybe for Cavs fans in that there were names available to us at 24, including the guy we ended up picking. What's his name? Tyus Jones, the point guard from Duke. Yeah. Then we traded to Minnesota. There were names, but I think ultimately our cap space is so valuable. We are in 100% win now mode. And even just the extra dollars that a first-round pick costs you to sign eat away at enough of our flexibility that I think it was smart to get back into the second round, add those picks, and draft guys whose contracts are not guaranteed. That we can run through names real quick here that I think could provide some value and could really turn out, but that's not where we want to invest our resources.
And Matty, emphasis on names. The names in this draft.
Yes.
I mean, we clearly won the draft on names. Chetty.
Pretty incredible.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Sir Dominic with the apostrophe. I love apostrophe names. Sir Dominic. So walk me through it, Matty. Chetty, that's how you pronounce his name. Chetty Osman? Is that his last name?
Yep.
Turkish forward. I know that he's a hair model for Head and Shoulders. He's done an ad for Head and Shoulders. He's a good-looking man. You know how I feel about good-looking basketball players.
You love them.
I love them. They're great.
Love them.
But otherwise, I have no idea about this guy.
Obviously, I don't either. I do not follow Euro basketball closely at all. So the only thing I know is what we've read from other people, which is that most analysts had him, I think, as the third best Euro in the draft, which is something. He's clearly not ready, but he's 6'8", good athlete. And that's, this is like a Spurs move, right? Let's keep him, stash him over there for a couple of years. If it doesn't work out, whatever, it doesn't really cost us anything. And if it does, that's a guy we can bring in here in a few years, relatively cheap. So I'm just fine with that. That's banking on potential. The one name I wanted to bring up here is somebody that we did this with 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
I think LeBron was still
Sasha. Yeah, I think so too. Sasha Khan, who played at Kansas, I believe, a center, and then went and played in the Russian league, I think, in the years since. And you didn't hear much from him. He was always sort of a name that the Cavs beat writers would bring up around this time of year, and people would write into the Hey Wendy column and say, "What happened with Sasha Khan?"
I remember that. Matt, I remember when we lost LeBron, or before we lost LeBron, when we lost to the Celtics. I was trying to think about what can we do to add to this team. I was like, oh, maybe Sasha Khan can come back. I mean, that's how long it's been happening.
It's been forever. And earlier there was a rumor that I saw that he had retired, and that was it. He wasn't playing basketball anymore. But then around the draft, it surfaced that teams were poking around and were interested in trading for his rights. So just a weird one to remember, and that's sort of the downside of something like this. Is it can take. I don't know if that's the downside. It might still be something interesting here, but
yeah.
It'll be a while before we see anything from Chetty, but I don't have a problem with that pick. The next guy,
Raheem Christmas.
That is my new favorite name in the league, easily. Easily.
To have a vaguely Islamic sounding first name, last name Christmas.
It's such a good name,
Raheem Christmas. It's like a Bond villain.
Yeah, I love it, and it seems like he's got a real shot to make the team.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, like 4-year player, got better every year, knows the role he can play, good defender. I think he was co-defensive player of the year in the whatever conference Syracuse is in now.
Yeah, if we get hit by injuries, he can probably put in some spot time. It can seriously hold, and be able to like do a stopgap in a way we didn't have that this past playoffs.
Right, and most importantly, you still need to be developing talent, cheap talent through the draft, even though you're in the position we are right now of signing free agents like we are. We need to be able to add talent cheaply. That's a way to do it, and it seems like he's a possibility. Sir Dominic, I am a little less confident in him making the team. No problem with the pick. Really elite defender. It sounds like good athlete. Cannot shoot or maybe even dribble.
Yeah.
Which makes it tough to make it in the league when you lack that skill set.
He's got D-League written all over him.
Right.
He's the scouting report makes him sound like a poor man's Rondé Hollis Jefferson, like an athlete, defender, but he can't shoot.
Yep. So, but again, not a bad pedigree from a good college program. So I'm okay with it. I think these are all they did the right things. It's not exciting, but I think we are done for a little while with the days of the draft being super exciting for us, and we should all be happy about that.
Yeah, I totally.
That's a good thing. And then you just got to make smart moves around the margins and make good bets, and hopefully you get lucky on some of them. And so hopefully one of these guys pays off for us, and it won't be now or in a couple years, and we don't need it to be either. That's okay.
Let's take a quick tour through the rest of NBA free agency from a Cavs fan's perspective. I just want to start off briefly by talking about the Lakers. They made me so happy this offseason.
It's fun, isn't it?
It's so fun. They are so pathetic right now. I mean, they've been getting just hammered in the national press. There's a great long piece in ESPN about their status as an analytics team, and they're just the dinosaurs of the NBA in terms of analytics. They still claim their analytics department is second to none in the NBA, which is just adorable. The Lakers are, as Windhorst put it in a recent appearance on ESPN, they're playing at the kiddie table right now.
Yeah.
Here's what they whiffed on Love. They secured a meeting that never actually happened. Jordan, they got a meeting, which was, quote, underwhelming. Monroe chose the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks. Went after Robin Lopez. He chose the Knicks.
Oh, that's insulting.
Yeah, that's tough. And the Knicks were his second choice, which means the Lakers were third choice. Robin Lopez's first choice was wasn't it San Antonio or something like that? But if the San Antonio got LaMarcus, then he was going to go to the Knicks.
I think that's right.
Yeah, and then LaMarcus Aldridge. I remember when the meeting first finished up. Twitter said the meeting went great. Actually, it was awful. Also, you know who was there, Matt? Kobe Bryant was there. Kobe, yeah. And, I don't know if you saw this. I believe somebody tweeted out footage of what LeBron said to LaMarcus Aldridge during the
Kobe.
meeting. Yeah,
Kobe said?
Yeah, let's take a listen to it.
How much more do you want? More. How much more successful do you want me to be? More successful. How many records can my records break? More records. But are you a different animal and the same beast? What the does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
Kobe's a psychopath, man.
Sorry, that was, of course, actually an ad campaign that he did called The System from 2012. Does he know he was setting himself up? I hope so. He's crazy. Like,
do you remember what they said he did in the Dwight Howard meeting?
No, no, but tell me again. I think I've heard of this.
So this is whenever it was 2 years ago when Dwight was a free agent, and they set up and that was a big deal for them that they traded for him and that they could possibly lose him. And they were like, we're having the meeting with Dwight. He likes to take these super seriously. He wants this to be really professional. That's how we got to come in. So let's just get the group, whatever the group was, Kupchak and Buss and Kobe. Mm-hmm. Just get our shit straight and let's get in there and do it right. Kobe shows up like 15 minutes late to the meeting and comes in wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. in a meeting where everybody else is all in suits and just comes in and just fucks with Dwight the whole time. That's the rumor for what he did. What a crazy person he is.
Oh my God.
Out of his mind. Out of his mind.
He joins my ranks of magnificent bastards.
Oh my God.
That is magnificent. And the best part, the kicker to this, by the way, is the Lakers, after seeing the news, they said, the meeting went great. And then seeing Twitter go, no, it went really bad. It went horribly bad. Like, really embarrassingly bad. And they apparently contacted LaMarcus Aldridge. All right, can we try again? Can we try again? We'll actually talk about basketball this time instead of marketing. And we won't bring Kobe this time. And he gave them a second pity meeting and still turned them down. But at least, Matt, their analytics team is second to none. On the upside, they also drafted Russell, which I think is a good pick for them. I think he's going to be great. And they've now traded for Hibbert, which is a good, solid move. You know, I mean, he's not, if you want a guy that can put up 0 points and 0 rebounds, that's great. Having owned him on my fantasy team, I'm not, thrilled by that move. But Hibbert's a solid player. I just don't think he's going to be.
They're
a difference.
They're out their draft pick next year too.
I forgot about that. That's so bad.
I think it's top 3 protected, but
so bottom line, they're still missing the playoffs.
Not even close.
That brings us to the Kings.
The Kings, who are somehow sadder than the Lakers. It's not enjoyable to watch the Kings be miserable for me.
They're a hot mess. I mean, they should be in that.
That is the worst. That's the worst team in the league by far. Just from they're not going to have the worst record next year. Philadelphia will be worse than them for sure. Maybe some others, but just the worst run franchise right now. What the hell are they doing? They've gone. Vlade is their third, I think, basketball management team in the last 2.5 years. They found a coach that finally DeMarcus Cousins liked. And DeMarcus Cousins is a top 5 talent, 6 talent in the league. Like, you got to hang on to him with everything you got. They had a coach that liked him that they decided to get rid of.
Crazy. Mike Malone, good coach. He was a Caps coach briefly, wasn't he? Or no, his dad was. His dad was the interim coach.
Brendan Malone.
Yeah, Brendan.
I think Mike was a coach on the team too.
I think he was an assistant coach. Yeah.
Yeah. And then bring in George Karl, who is meddling with everything, exploring.
They hired a coach.
Off-book, exploring Cousins trades that were all going to be terrible. Made this horrible cap-clearing trade. Just
awful.
So dumb. I listened to Zach Lowe's podcast.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And he raised this point because they traded Jason Thompson and Carl Landry, who I think each have 2 years left on their contracts, plus Nick Stauskas, who was a bad pick in the lottery last year. They should have taken someone else.
But still a lot of
plus multiple picks, I think including a first rounder, plus the right for the 76ers to swap picks with them, and I think 2 other drafts, which is crazy. What a stupid thing to throw in just for cap space, for I think players that Philly had stashed, not Saric, who's their good player they have stashed, but just essentially prospects who probably aren't going to develop. I listened to this podcast with Zach Lowe where he suggested that it is possible that the Kings front office was not aware that there is a stretch provision where you can waive players and stretch their contracts out over to ×2 plus 1 year, the length of the contract.
Oh my God.
So you absolutely should have done that in this situation rather than give up assets to unload these players.
Oh my God.
It is so bad.
Man,
and Pat, actually, he suggested in that podcast that, we talked about how it's all verbal agreements right now, right? And teams, you just don't go back on stuff right now because it would make you look so bad. But this trade is perhaps bad enough that the Kings would just walk it back and take whatever hit they had to do for their reputation because of how bad it would be.
So you're telling me they're openly exploring their psych option on this trade with the Sixers? Psych.
They got Lowe, and his guest ultimately came down and said that would be too much for any franchise, but that they would at least have to consider it.
Yeah, I mean that's just we might be able to run this team better.
And getting turned down by every free agent that they've gone after so far. Wes Matthews and Monte Ellis. And I guess Tobias Harris was going to do. the deal they signed for Rondo is 1 year, $10 million, which is a worst case scenario for them.
Yes.
Because now it's all that they get. Maybe they get 1 year of him in a year when they're not going to make the playoffs, and who cares? And then if he's good, he goes and signs someplace. It's just
insane.
They are a mess, man. And Mario Bellinelli signed with them, which I don't care.
I guess they got good.
Kufis, I guess, is a good thing.
That's a good.
Kufis is not bad, and with Willie Cauley-Stein, they've now got, and it's pretty clear they're moving DeMarcus over to power forward, which I think is where he prefers to play.
Right.
It allows them to hide him a little bit on defense, where he can sometimes not pay attention.
But putting it lightly.
But that is what a mess, man.
Absolutely. All right, we're running low on time.
And by the way, Pat,
go ahead.
From a Cavs perspective, I think this also means that the first-round pick that we got in the J.J. Hickson, Omri Caspi deal, which we then traded to the Bulls and the Luol Deng deal, looks like it's not good. There's every chance that never transmits or ends up as a second-round pick.
Not going to happen. Yeah, exactly. Let me breeze through some of the other losers in the free agents. The Knicks, of course, I talked about. Shop of the discount aisle just makes me so happy. They actually did some decent signings. Flala for 2 years is not bad. Robin Lopez 4 years. O'Quinn, is it Kyle Quinn's his name? Yeah, he's a pretty decent. Yeah. They're all role player guys, but that's the thing. They didn't do anything stupid, So that's a plus for the Knicks organization.
That's true. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs in the East this year.
Nope, not making the playoffs. The Clippers are probably still going to make the playoffs, but I don't know. I mean, it's such a brutal conference that you have to wonder about that.
I think we're giving our top 8 later if they make it in mind.
Let's see if they make it. But they signed Paul Pierce. That's good for them. That they need a player like that. Lance Stevenson with a good team might play a little bit better. Obviously, they lost DeAndre Jordan and can't do anything now. But they might do some kind of swing trade so they can get some decent warm body. But they obviously really downgraded, losing what's his name, DJ. The poor Trailblazers, Matty. They basically lost. They lost their starting lineup, man. That's brutal. LaMarcus Aldridge.
Besides Lillard.
Wes Matthews. Yeah, they got Lillard, but they lost LaMarcus Aldridge, Wes Matthews, Robin Lopez, Nick Batum, who they traded. They also lost Aflalo, who's a key rotation guy. I mean, look, they signed Thriller to a huge max, 5 years, $20 million, that makes Kyrie's deal look awesome. Kyrie's got like $590, right? So that's a huge steal for us. And they've added Gerald Henderson, Noah Vonleh, Mason Plumlee, and Aminu. I mean, honestly, look, they got screwed. I think they were doing the smart thing by just hitting the reboot button. They're going to have a lot of cap space next year. They'll probably have a high draft pick. They'll certainly have a lottery pick next year. I like that as a base to build from, to add one key, top 10, top 20, free agent, plus a good draft pick. That team's going to be right back in it, I think, in a couple of years. I
think they'll be okay. It just sucks to be as good as they were last year and have injuries derail it like it did, and then the whole thing blew up.
Exactly.
That's the
and then the Celtics, Matty, are still waiting for a meeting with Kevin Love. My sources tell me. And they signed Jerebko and Amir to basically 1 year deals. So good job, Celtics. Good job, Celtics. Good thing you have the best coach in the world to really attract those free agents.
Never been a free agent destination, Boston.
Nope. All right, Matt, let's move quickly through the good as we get to our top 8 stuff briefly. I mean, the Spurs basically. I'll do a quick run through and you can comment. Okay, so let's say the Spurs signed LaMarcus Aldridge, Kawhi to $590, which is an amazing deal. Danny Green, super cheap. Timmy is coming back. They lost Splitter. The uncertain about the status of Diop, Patty Mills, and David West, who they're pursuing, and I think they're actually talking to Boozer now too, which is weird. I mean, that's disgusting what they just did. So I'm a little terrified of them now. They're going to be so good. The Mavs are big players. That big deal for Wes Matthews, but again, Achilles tendon. That's weird. They got DJ. Obviously, they won those sweepstakes. They also brought back Jefferson. They're probably about to bring back JJ Barea. I saw they're bringing back, or they're trying to get Jeremy Lin. But
they need help in the backcourt.
Yeah, but they lost Monta. They lost Monta and they lost Tyson Chandler. But I think Wes and DJ are upgrades in both positions.
Assuming
West comes back to 100%. Yeah, assuming he's 100%. Yeah. What were you going to say?
Agree with you. I actually think DJ going from the Clippers to the Mavs makes the Clippers worse, obviously, and the Mavs not quite good enough to contend. So I think the other good teams in the West are happy about that.
Yeah, if the Mavs were able to get DJ because they're going to play him as their second offense option on offense, that's not good for the Mavs. So
Right.
he should be finishing. I mean, the way the Clippers used him was the right way to use him, I think. So we'll see if he proves us wrong.
Yeah.
The Bucks, Matty, re-signed Chris Middleton. They got Monroe for the max. All they lost was Dudley in a cap trade that I think was bad. I feel like they should have just spent some money and kept Dudley. That would have been.
It seemed Dudley was useful to them too.
Yeah, they did really well. I'll talk about them more in a second. The Heat were annoyingly good.
God damn it.
Inexplicably, Justice Winslow falls to them at 10. Motherfuckers.
Thanks, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, seriously. Can that guy just stop playing? Just get out and stop screwing things up to help the Heat. Dragic signed for less than the max. Deng opted in. Wade gave them a 1-year, $20 million deal. All they lost was like Beasley. And Pat Riley even got in on the LaMarcus Aldridge. He got dinner with LaMarcus Aldridge. Like, Jesus, man, I fucking hate the Heat. Washington lost Pierce, but they did well on getting Dudley via trade, and they signed Gary Neal, which I think is a good deal. And if they get David West, they did pretty well for themselves, I think, to at least kind of tread water. Phoenix,
okay, I agree.
Phoenix had a near miss. They signed Tyson. It's a good sign. They signed Knight, and they came so close to getting LaMarcus Aldridge. That would have been amazing if they were to swoop in and steal him and screw the Spurs. I was really pulling for that, especially because it might have meant that we would have gotten one of the Morris twins. But and all they lost was the shitty Morris twin, Reggie Bullock and Danny Granger, who I had no idea was playing for Phoenix. Danny Granger?
Yeah. His best days are behind him, unfortunately.
Yes. All right, Matty, give me your top 8 in the East. Who is the top 8 going into next year for you?
This is interesting. So I'm going to walk through my thinking on this a little bit. I'll do it as quick as I can. But so from last year's playoff teams, Cavs stay. They're still a playoff team.
Number 1. Yep.
Chicago so I'm going to say the Cavs haven't really upgraded anything. They're going to roll back close to the same unit, maybe some improvement on the margins. But they're there. Chicago keeping the team pretty much the same. We'll see what they do on the margins again, but they're still a playoff team. Milwaukee Bucks improved, in my opinion.
Big time.
Not only with signing Monroe, but they'll have Jabari Parker the whole year, hopefully. That's a good squad. So they are in. The Hawks, I think, caught lightning in the bottle a little bit last year, but Splitter, I think, helps them a little bit as they didn't really have a true center.
Yeah, I think Go ahead, yeah.
Losing Carroll hurts them, but they get Cephalosha back, and I think that's, they found Carroll off the scrap heap, and that's the interesting thing about 3-and-D guys is I think
you can find them.
So I think the Hawks come back. Now it starts to get interesting for me. I think that top 4 I feel pretty good about. The bottom 4. So I think the Heat get back in the playoffs now, right? Assuming they're relatively healthy for the year. I think they're back in with one of the spots. Now my last 3, I'm going to go with. Sorry, I'm thinking here. These are less than totally palatable decisions. The Wizards.
Yep.
The Wizards get back in with one of them. God,
you clearly did not write this down.
No. I wanted to think through it and just go through it in my head. What everybody was going to be like. You don't enjoy thinking things through out loud, Pat?
Yeah, I just do it beforehand so I don't torture my audience with my with uncomfortable silences.
They want to hear what the thought process is like, Pat.
They don't want to hear you actually thinking.
That's critical to it. Somehow this is going to work out better in my head when I had it thought out.
Can I help you? Are the Raptors still in there?
That's a weird one. So the Raptors, after the playoffs, it felt like they were going to do a total rebuild, right? Like that was the talk. They got swept out of the first round. It was embarrassing. It was everybody's for sale. And then they signed Carroll. I think they traded for Ilyasova.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
They're weird. Yeah. So I think this is where it gets really weird. They're borderline for me. The Nets were a playoff team last year. They are borderline for me to falling out. The Celtics were a playoff team last year. Yep. They are borderline to falling out. The teams that could come in and replace them, God, the Pacers were close last year, but it seems like they're rebuilding. Detroit, maybe on the upswing.
Yeah, but the Pacers, my outside in are Pacers, Pistons, Celtics, because I feel like, but the Pacers get back a big player they missed the entire year. They're only losing really David West? And
Hibbert.
And Hibbert, yeah, but they're adding Monta Ellis. I mean, I don't know. I could see them figuring things out. I could see them actually, because the way they're good, they're a well-coached team. I think Larry Bird actually knows what he's doing with that team. I feel like they've got a lot of veteran guys from that playoff run. I think they're going to be dangerous and definitely have a strong shot at the 8th spot. They're my top pick for the 8th spot right now, followed by the Pistons and Celtics. So my top 8, I think Cavs are number 1. I still think the Hawks are really good. I think they'll be a really good regular season team. I think they kind of repeat and hold on to the 2nd spot by regular season at least. The Bulls are bringing everyone back, so I think they're probably 3rd. I think the Heat are really good now with Dragic, but we'll see. I make them put them at 4. The Bucks for sure at least at 5. I think the Bucks might even get home court advantage. They might even get to the 4th seed.
I agree.
They're long, dangerous. They're a frustrating team to play on defense because of how long they are at every single position. They're very young, so I think that's the one thing that's holding them back. But Jabari Parker coming back, that could be a really, really scary team, especially in the long
That starting lineup of Monroe, Parker, Antetokounmpo, Middleton, and Carter Williams is so interesting.
Gee, it's crazy. Oh man, and then I'm rounding out with the Wizards at 6, Raptors at 7, and I think Pacers at 8, slightly edging out Pistons, Celtics, and one other team I've already forgotten.
Yeah, the bottom of the East is still bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And up a lot there.
So Matty, let me
Lowry or something.
Yeah.
It could get weird.
Yeah, the Nets maybe. I guess the Nets maybe, but I'm still surprised they were even close.
Yeah.
All right, so in the West, Matty, I think the Spurs are number 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Over the defending champs.
Yeah, I think the Warriors still might win more regular seasons because of the Popovich effect of resting his guys and not worrying about getting home court advantage. So they might win the regular season record, but I don't think they'll be tops. By the time the season ends, I don't think anyone's going to put the Warriors above the Spurs in any power rankings in the playoffs. I think the Spurs will be the favorites coming out of the West. Okay. And then Grizzlies at 3rd. I think they're solid. I think they're going to add some outside shooting, and that'll help one of their biggest Achilles heels.
They've had a good offseason. So
I have the Rockets at 4. They also look pretty good. They have big weaknesses, but I think they're a pretty solid team. Then I go with Mavs at 5, but I could be wrong about that. I may be overplaying. If Wesley Matthews is playing at his peak, if he's back to his full self, I see them at 5, followed by OKC. I'm just kind of down on OKC, only because I don't trust. I don't trust.
That's a little
Durant.
low for OKC, I think.
Yeah, it is a little low, but I also don't really trust Durant coming back full strength. I don't know. It's a lot of surgeries on a foot, and if he's not back at 100%, I don't think they're going to get much higher than 6 or 5 in that conference. And then Clippers, I have all the way down to 7, with the Pelicans and Phoenix fighting it out for the 8th spot. You?
That is interesting. So I like. I think I think the top 3 in the West is San Antonio, Golden State, and I think Oklahoma City. I'm going to assume Durant's healthy right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the top 3. I think the next class of teams is Houston and Memphis at sort of a similar level. And then that bottom, the scrum there at the bottom will be interesting. I'm going to put the Mavs in. I'm not so sure the Clippers get in, man. I think New Orleans continues to grow and makes the move, and Anthony Davis is such a beast.
Good. He's so good. I gotta think they're gonna make a big jump next year, but I couldn't figure out who they're gonna jump, so I left them at 8.
Yeah, I think Utah is a team. That's gonna get really good this year.
I slept on Utah.
I think they're gonna be good. I really could see the Clippers falling out, man. If they don't do something to add, they were so thin beyond their top 3 last year anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And
I don't know. I still think with CP3 and Blake
Griffin.
Blake Griffin. I can't see them missing the playoffs. I don't know. We'll see. I don't see them being deep players, having a deep run in them. But they were still good a couple years ago when DeAndre Jordan wasn't DeAndre Jordan yet. He was good, but he wasn't what he became this year. So I feel like they're still going to be good, and they got deeper at least in their backcourt. So we'll see. All right, Matt. This is not just the Cavs podcast. This is the Cleveland Sports Hour, and we're going a little bit over an hour now. So let's quickly wrap up with some Tribe and Browns talk. Okay.
Yeah.
How you feel?
I'm down.
So a brutal stretch last week, followed by a big winning streak. Now followed by what? Did we end up losing the game, or is it over yet?
We lost.
We lost. So now we lost.
5-3.
We lost 2 in a row again. So that's 2 games in a row. 3 would be a losing streak, as Major League tells us. I saw this one insane stat from Kevin Dean that summed up the season. The Indians are 34-32 against teams other than the Tigers. We have a winning record against everyone but the Tigers. And the Tigers are 30-36 against teams other than the Indians.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, they've just been destroying us.
They've owned us for years.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the Tribe? Is it time to stop watching them, stop paying attention?
No, it definitely is not time to stop paying attention just yet. And the last little run they were on, the sweep of the Rays, and then the series against the Pirates, who are a really good team, by the way. Mm-hmm. And while we lost 2 of 3, and that's disappointing, one was that 1-0 game yesterday, and the other we just let slip away to get. And Garrett Cole was pitching for them, who's very good.
Yeah.
I was super excited for the Tribe coming into this year. I still have a lot of hope. Our rotation is so good.
Mm-hmm.
And locked up for so long. Like, we're always going to have a chance. We just need our offense to do something this year.
What the hell happened to Santana? Oh my God, he's terrible. And
he's been
he's
been the big disappointment.
Yeah, it's just Kipnis has been great. Brantley has been okay. He hasn't been great, but he's been good. And just everyone else is terrible.
And we had some time. Gomes was hurt and is still sort of coming back, and that hurt us a lot. Mm-hmm. That was a big deal. We've gotten nothing out of Bourne and Swisher, which is not really surprising. We should probably think about cutting bait with those guys at some point. And I know they have another year on their contract after this. Mm-hmm. And that we hung with Jose Ramirez and Lonnie Chisenhall on the left side of the infield for as long as we did. Those guys were negatives.
Chisenhall fell off a cliff.
But I like Urshela, and Lindor will take a little bit of time to get his offense going, but even just defensively, they've been an upgrade already over there.
He is fantastic over there. And one awesome extra note: Trevor Bauer is a fucking awesome lunatic. I don't know if you saw this, Matty.
Fun, isn't he?
Yeah, Thursday night in Pittsburgh with a one-run lead in the 7th inning. Because he had to bat. We were playing in Pittsburgh. He imitated the batting stances in order of Aviles, Kipnis, and Rayburn throughout the entire at-bat. It was like a 12-pitch at-bat. He fouled off 4 pitches, worked the count full, and he got a walk.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Totally straight-faced it, too.
This is Arthur, Matty, coming to tell us that we got to wrap it up. So I think here's what I'll say. All right, we're gonna go. I'm gonna wrap up right now. You can wrap it up with me, Arthur. Okay. So so the answer to the Tribe is, again, not yet. It's not yet. And my final thing on the Tribe is that as long as we're within 5 games of 500, we're worth watching. Because all we have to do is stay near striking distance of 500. If we get hot in September, then all of a sudden World Series is a possibility. Because so many times you've seen this happen. A team that's been not on anyone's big power radar, right, gets really hot in September, makes it as a wild card, and then wins the championship.
Yeah, and most importantly for this team, Pat, is we have a nice young core that's going to be together for a while. So even if it doesn't work out this year, it's a good, exciting team, and we're not going to deal off the good pieces from it.
We got time with this pitching staff to figure out the offense, and we'll. So and because the pitching staff there, we're always going to be kind of in striking distance of 500 for the most part, right? So that's a good thing. The Browns. You don't have to pay attention to them yet. Who gives a shit? They're terrible. So
I totally agree. Until further notice.
Until further notice. Even training camp, maybe training camp, I'll start paying attention. We'll see. All right, that does it for the Cleveland Sports Hour. It's a good job, Matty.
Yeah, it felt good.
We'll be back in a couple of weeks with hopefully more to say about the Tribe, but it's probably still nothing to say about the Browns. And
more about the Tribe, and hopefully some more clarity around the NBA and what the Cavs picture looks like. Exactly.
Maybe a couple of weeks, maybe end of July is maybe wait a couple of weeks. We'll see. Either mid-July or end of July, we'll be back with you guys. Until next time, this is Matty and Patty saying friendship. All right, Matty. Take it easy. Go Cavs, go Browns, go Tribe. Yeah, we got one left. See you later, man. Bye.